Regularly scheduled meeting of the Newton City Council. We are being both audio taped and videotaped. Online this evening, I have three counselors, Counselor Humphrey, Counselor Wright, and Counselor Gentile. I think we have just about everyone else here. I note that Counselor Maliki will be absent this evening, and I don't see Counselor Downs yet. She is going to be absent as well. So, colleagues, tomorrow is election day, and for those who've been here on previous election days, this is usually a very light evening. This evening is no exception. I do anticipate that we will only have items on first call. So with that, we're going to start off with the Land Use Committee. Chair Kelly, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I look forward to a late evening. The Land Use Committee report starts on page 244. We met on October 22nd, and we took up item number 298-24, which was a request to allow 3 attached single-family dwellings in 2 buildings and associated parking waivers at 56 Chapel Street. That was approved 7-0. Number 360-24, which was a request to allow parking in the front setback and within 5 feet of the front lot line at 31 Chase Street, also approved 7-0. Number 361-24, request to allow a dormer exceeding 50% of the wall plane below at 67 Chester Street. That was approved 7-0. Number 363-24 on the next page, 245. That was a request to allow parking also in the front setback and within 5 feet of the front lot line at 140 Derby Street. That was approved 7-0. Number 393-24, a request for an extension of time at 19-21 Court Street. That was approved 6-0-1. And number 394-24, another request for an extension of time at 255 Jackson Street. That was approved 7-0. And finally, another request for an extension of time, number 395-24, at 1349 Center Street, approved 7-0. And I would like to assign some public hearings, Mr. President.
Please go ahead and assign the public hearings, Chair Kelly.
Item number 420-24, number 274-24 on page 255, I'd like to assign for November 12th. And items number 421-24 and 422-24 on page 255, and item 423-24 on page 256 for November 19th.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chair Baker for the Zoning and Planning Committee, please.
Mr. President, the Vice Chair will give the report since he chaired the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Oliver, please.
Great, thank you, Mr. President. Our report begins on page 246. Zoning and Planning Committee met on October the 28th. We first heard an appointment of Jennifer Pucci to the Zoning Board of Appeals, item 372-24, that was approved 8-0. The next item, while it was approved, I'm not going to read it into the record as the Finance Committee has yet to hear this item. That is 403-24, CPC recommendation to appropriate $1,841,719.78, but I'm not reading that into the record at this point. The rest of the items were held, but I did want to mention that the substantive conversation that was held this night has to do with BERDO. And for those of you who are familiar with our favorite acronym, we're getting very close, right? We're down to one last topic, and that is Newton Wellesley Hospital and an amendment to address some of their concerns. So pay close attention to your packet over the next couple of weeks, please, because there is a lot of information that's out there. And we are hoping to get this through the full City Council by the end of the calendar year. So thank you.
Great, thank you, Vice Chair Oliver. Next, I have for Programs and Services, Chair Krinsman.
Thank you, Mr. President. The report begins on page 247. The Programs and Services Committee met on October 23rd. First item is item 387-24. This is the reappointment of Michelle Freshman to the Health and Human Services Advisory Council. That item was approved by a vote of 6-0. Item 388-24, the reappointment of Sam Fiegler to the Newton Commonwealth Foundation. That item was approved by a vote of 6-0. The next item, 389-24, this is authorization to acquire the Christina Street Bridge land. Programs and Services actually divided this into two items. The original item was approved by a vote of 6-0 in 389-24 parens 2, which is to deal with a potential open space deed restriction. That item was held. Mr. President, I would also move a suspension of the rules to allow a late filed item to be considered. That item would be 435-24. This is Her Honor the Mayor requesting authorization for the city to accept a grant of easement from Hancock Estates or walking trail access over the property at 200 Estate Drive in Chestnut Hill.
All in favor of suspending the rules as requested by Chair Krinsman, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Go ahead. All set?
Thank you. With that, I would move the report.
All right. Chair Grossman for Public Safety and Transportation, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. There's no report this week.
Thank you. Chair Albright for Public Facilities.
Thank you, Mr. President. The report starts on page 248. 386-24 is the reappointment of Alan Gordon to the Sustainable Materials Management Commission for a term to expire on October 18th, 2027. That was approved by the committee 6-0. 392-24 was the appointment of Alexander Lee also to the Sustainable Materials Management Commission for a term to expire November 4th, 2027, and that was also approved 6-0, and all the rest of the items were held and will be discussed again this coming meeting. And I have a public hearing to announce.
Please go ahead.
On page 258, there will be a public hearing on also on Wednesday night, 11/06/2024, 419-24, request for grant of location by National Grid on Beacon Street at various locations as they're listed in our reports docket.
Thank you, Chair Albright. Chair Gentile for Finance, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. The finance report begins at the top of page 252. First item, 367-24, Her Honor the Mayor requesting authorization to appropriate and expend the sum of $50,000 from the FY25 Community Compact Grant Program to develop a wage and classification plan. This was approved 7-0. 382-24, Her Honor the Mayor reappointing Antonio Bianchi as a constable for the city of Newton. This was approved 7-0. 384-24, Her Honor the Mayor requesting authorization to accept and expend $53,015.90 from a 2025 grant from Municipal Road Safety. This was approved by a vote of 7-0. 389-24, Her Honor the Mayor requesting authorization to acquire 11,210 square foot portion of the Price Center parking lot for the price of $430,000 to be used for development of an access to a new shared use path bridge over the Charles River. Approved 7-0. 390-24, Her Honor the Mayor requesting authorization to transfer and expend $29,056.47 from the Trio Mitigation Funds for the purpose and installation of a new rapid flashing beacon at the crosswalk across Lowell Ave at Page Road. This was approved 7-0. 400-24, President Laredo appointing J.P. Namias of 15 Burridge Road in Newton as a member of the Financial Audit Advisory Committee. This was approved by a vote of 7-0. 401-24, President Laredo appointing Patrick Moriarty.
Is that held?
9 Hillside Road, Newton, as a member of the Financial Audit Advisory Committee. This was also approved by a vote of 7-0.
Chair Gentile, on my notes, it says it was held. Was it actually approved?
Oh, no, excuse me, you're right, it's held. Mr. Moriarty was not there this evening, so it was held.
Okay.
You're right, 7-0. 402-24, Community Preservation Committee recommending appropriation of $17,500 in Community Preservation Act funds from the FY '25 unrestricted budgeted reserves to the control of planning and development for a grant to the Newton Planning Department for Phase 2 of the Mid-Century Architectural Survey. And this item was approved by a vote of 7-0. And with that, I would move the report.
Thank you, Chair Gentile. Chair Danberg for real property reuse.
Thank you, Mr. President. There's no report tonight.
Thank you. That's everything on first call. Colleagues, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Counselor Albright.
Aye.
Counselor Baker.
Aye.
Counselor Bixby.
Aye.
Counselor Block.
Aye, except for item 393-24, in which I vote no.
Counselor Danberg.
Aye.
Counselor Downs. Counselor Farrell.
Aye.
Counselor Gentile.
Aye.
Counselor Getz.
Aye, with the exception of 298-24, which I vote no. And my reasoning is that it is actually requiring too much relief. It has 14 items for relief, and it's double the by right FAR.
Counselor Greenberg.
Aye.
Counselor Grossman.
Aye.
Counselor Humphrey.
Aye.
Counselor Kalis.
Aye.
Counselor Kelly.
Aye.
Counselor Krinsman.
Aye.
Counselor Leary.
Aye.
Counselor Lipoff.
Aye.
Counselor Lobovitz.
Aye.
Counselor Lucas.
Aye.
Counselor Malachy. Counselor Mickley.
Aye.
Counselor Oliver.
Aye, with the exception of 298-24, for which I vote no. As stated in the Land Use Committee last time I attended and this item was heard, I do not believe that this project is the appropriate, or this location is the appropriate place for this project.
Counselor Wright.
Aye.
President Laredo.
Aye.
Motion carries 22 yeas, 0 nays, 2 absent, with the exception of item 298-24, for which the vote was 20 yeas, 2 nays, 2 absent, and item 393-24, for which the vote was 21 yeas, 1 nay, 2 absent.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That finishes our business. Counselor Mickley, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, we are adjourned at 7:59 p.m. Thank you all very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening.